New tonight, nearly a dozen people out tens of thousands of dollars and left waiting for pools that were never built. It's the latest WBTV investigation into contractors taking people's money for work that's never finished. But this time, WBTV investigative reporter David Hodges found the builder whose license was being used by the pool contractor failed to provide important financial information, his license applications, raising questions about whether he should have had a license in the first place. David joins us now. And David, this story is similar to others you've investigated where customers just aren't being protected by the state regulatory agency.
Alex, that is exactly right. All of the information was right at the fingertips for the North Carolina Licensing Board for General Contractors, but the records indicate they missed the ball. By the time the customers were able to connect the dots, they'd already forked over a bunch of money that they'll likely never see again.
After weeks of waiting and months past deadline, this is what Janet Hajar is left with after hiring a contractor to build a pool. The last work done was a retaining wall.
And that's all we got for the month of September, and we haven't seen him since.
And today's December 1st.
Yes.
And I mean, this is just not anywhere close to complete at this point.
No, not at all.
Hajar detailed her problems with ANS pools and pavers in this complaint filed with the North Carolina Licensing Board for General Contractors. She hired them after seeing an ad for the company in a mailer. Unlike many other companies that have been difficult to schedule, she found ANS owner Mario Salmeron accessible. Construction moved fast in April, but then slowed down just as quickly as the reason for delays started rolling in.
We wanted everything finished. We were believing his excuses, basically. And he said, okay, we can get it done by the end of September.
And about how much have you paid out so far?
We've paid $33,000.
So we started digging into the company to see how many people were having the same problem. On its website, the company claims it's licensed, but we couldn't find any license attached to the owner or business. But then we started searching permits and found a completely different company name listed on them.
Had you ever heard the name Leonard Gabadon before?
No, I had not.
The permits were pulled by a company called Gabadon Construction or Gabadon Builders, owned by Leonard Gabadon. We started calling people who recently had pool permits pulled under that name and found 10, with only one pool completed by the company so far. Gabadon does have a general contractor's license, but records obtained by WBTV raise questions about whether he should have one. In 2020, Gabadon filed for bankruptcy with one of his companies. When he filed to renew his license under that company name with the North Carolina Licensing Board, he disclosed he had a bankruptcy, but just a few months later he filed for another license with a different company and did not disclose the bankruptcy. Records from the licensing board show that eventually the board filed its own complaint stating he did not disclose that bankruptcy. In a phone call with WBTV, Gabadon said he was honest with the board because he disclosed the bankruptcy on a previous form. If I said no on the previous application, then it would be hiding something. I was not hiding anything. This is the third time WBTV has found that the licensing board has failed to uncover a bankruptcy before granting a contractor a license. We previously reported the owner of Charlotte Fiberglass Pools was granted a license despite not disclosing a bankruptcy on his application filing. More than 40 customers lost hundreds of thousands of dollars. We also found the owner of GJK Building and Remodeling failed to disclose liens, bankruptcies, and even pleaded guilty to a federal charge. Later, he ended up stiffing subcontractors tens of thousands of dollars.
I'm a bit surprised that this even got this far. So when I found out that he was using another contractor's license, I was just shocked.
WBTV reached out to the licensing board to find out again what they're doing to protect consumers. In a statement, Licensing Board Secretary Frank Wiesner wrote, due to the volume of applications and renewals, coupled with the fact that a vast majority of applicants are completely honest on their applications, the board does not have sufficient staffing to confirm every detail in every application.
As you heard there, Mr. Wiesner claims that the vast majority of contractors are truthful on their applications and renewal forms, but it's unclear how he could know that if the board is not conducting background checks. There's still so much more to come on this story and how people who previously dealt with Gabadon are fuming that he's still working. I actually just spoke with one of them today. Keep following us for more updates on this story as it develops. Alex?
A years-long WBTV investigation is prompting change that will protect you the next time you need work done at your house. Investigative reporter David Hodges has been tracking contractors who provide false information on their license applications with the state.
But they were never caught until it was too late, and they'd already taken money from families who work for work that was never finished. David Hodges is here. David, your years of investigations and questions for state regulators, it's finally getting action.
Yeah, right now, state regulators at the North Carolina Licensing Board for General Contractors essentially use the honor system when asking contractors about their past. That's how some contractors we've investigated are able to get new licenses despite previous complaints or even bankruptcies. Now that's changing, and it will mean major new protections the next time you search for a contractor.
In December, WBTV introduced you to Janet Hajar, whose planned pool project was left a pile of dirt.
We wanted everything finished. We were believing his excuses, basically. And he said, okay, we can get it done by the end of September.
And about how much have you paid out so far?
We've paid $33,000.
WBTV found nearly a dozen other homeowners like Hajar who hired ANS pools, but the permits for those projects were pulled by Gabadon Construction, owned by Leonard Gabadon.
A lot of people that are going to end up with these big muddy holes in the backyard and absolutely no recourse.
Attorney Laura Budd represents 3 clients, including Dr. Mukesh Nigam, who hired Leonard Gabadon for new home construction more than a year ago, all with similar results.
I came to realize that he was not paying subcontractors before, so nobody was willing to come and work on my project or the house.
Damages-wise, in totality, nearly $1 million between the 3 families.
Gabadon said he did not know about the owner of ANS Pools taking money from consumers and not finishing pools, or else he would never have gone close to him. Regarding the homeowner suing him over the 3 projects, Gabadon said the owners changed permits and plans and, quote, I did not take their money. I built 3 beautiful homes. Gabadon filed for bankruptcy in 2020, and all 3 families filed complaints against him and his company with the North Carolina Licensing Board for General Contractors. But records show those complaints still have not been heard more than a year after they were filed. Since then, Gabadon started a new company that was approved by the licensing board despite the pending complaints. His ongoing financial issues were not caught by the board for months, despite all of the evidence being right at their fingertips. And it's not the first time. We previously reported the owner of Charlotte Fiberglass Pools was granted a license despite not disclosing a bankruptcy on his application filing. More than 40 customers lost hundreds of thousands of dollars. We also found the owner of GJK Building and Remodeling failed to disclose liens, a bankruptcy, and even pleaded guilty to a federal charge. Later, he ended up stiffing subcontractors tens of thousands of dollars. The owner later filed an accurate renewal form.
And that's where someone like the or an entity like the licensing board can come in and make a real difference. But they're going to need support from the General Assembly on that.
Now, after years of our reporting, that's finally happening.
I think we need to do that in the general contracting as well, because we don't need a black eye on the industry.
State Senator Steve Jarvis authored a bill that was signed into law last year, allowing the North Carolina Licensing Board for General Contractors to conduct criminal background checks on applicants and charge them for it.
Do you think this will make a difference for consumers and help protect them more?
I think it will help the consumer in the end tremendously.
Initially, the licensing board was not planning on changing its policy. The law made criminal background checks voluntary, not mandatory. But after WBTV reached out to them again for this story, Director Frank Wiesner wrote, quote, the board has initiated the process to migrate its licensing database to a new software solution that can accommodate the background check. Once the new software is operational, the North Carolina Licensing Board for General Contractors intends to require criminal background checks for all new license applicants.
And Wiesner says that system should be operational by the end of April, but one big question for us is whether these background checks will also reveal bankruptcies as well as judgments and liens, because in our reporting we found it much more likely for those issues to remain hidden than the criminal history when they're filing those applications.
But I don't think any of this would have been done had you not been bringing this to the attention.
Yeah, we've definitely been harping on this for a while, and then we know that the licensing board reached out to the state lawmakers, so it seems to make some sense that all the people we've reported on finally helped get this done.
Anytime one of these stories airs, I think it's just a good reminder for people why you try to do as much homework as you can before you hire someone to do a specific job.
Yeah, and the regulators need to be doing that homework as well, and hopefully now they will. There we go.
David Hodges,
Yeah.
thank you so much.